Okay, so I'll start. So, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this conversation with Monica. And like basically, the topic is a cancer, a push towards the path to wholeness. So today it's a very informal setup. So I will be asking Dr. Monica a few questions, and feel free to, if you have any questions, type them in the chat window, and I will definitely take them up. So thank you. So I will now want to welcome Monica, and for those of us who don't know her, like Monica is has done a doctorate in immunology, doctorate in immunology from the University of Zurich, and she is the founder of livinglight.in, and currently she lives in Gurgaon with her husband and two kids and extended family. So basically, today we will be kind of going through with her journey through, like, the challenges that she has lived through, like one of them being cancer, and how it has shaped her. And that's the reason why we are here. And yeah, so that's it. So I would like to welcome Monica. So hi, and just give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
can you ask me to switch on my video? I think it got clicked off. Yeah, thank
yeah,
you.
and I wanted to. I started the spot video, but it's not
Yeah, it's spotlight. Up now it's on you.
okay.
Earlier it was on me.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah, now it started for
yeah.
me. Okay, great. So so I would like to start, with basically, I personally find the name of your blog really fascinating. The title being The Gift of Cancer. So,
Mm-hmm.
in a world where this word alone, like cancer, is enough to, make people kind of run away,
Mm.
you kind of embrace it, and you have this as, like, gift. You use it so casually, so freely, and to call it a gift seems
Mm.
really, kind of contraindicative and ironical.
Mm.
So I would, want to begin by asking you, how do you do that, and how can somebody call cancer a gift? If you could walk
Yeah,
us through that.
yeah. So let me just share the link to the blog also. For those of us who are not aware, I've shared it with everyone on the chat window. So, so first of all, I'm not the founder of livinglight.in. Taru is the co-founder, so we are both the co-founders. Thank you, Taru. And secondly, yeah, so cancer came to me in 2014 when I was almost about to give birth to my second child. And before going to gift of cancer, let me just touch briefly what it was going on, and then why a gift. Slowly the secret will get revealed. So I had come from my PhD from Zurich in 2009, and after that I was kind of looking for answers, if I can say so. My PhD was in immunology, as Taru shared with all of you, and there I was trying to find out answers to autoimmune diseases which happen more in women than in men. Some it felt as if those samples, the samples from these, because that it's not only with these blood samples that I can find the cure of this autoimmunity. And I felt that a big chunk of the emotional and the mental domain of that patient we are ignoring. So there cannot be a cure only based on there cannot be a cure only based on these blood samples. So at that point I left my PhD, I completed it, and I kind of left the science, if I can say, because I did not feel very whole just concerned with the research science. Then I was trying to find answers in alternative education. So I stumbled upon Jiddu Krishnamurti and other masters, Ramana Maharishi and Advaitic teaching. And there I began to kind of develop an intimacy with those teachings. So I found my kind of, kind of a grounding there. And when I found my partner in 2010, then suddenly life just turned from a very free liberal individual who kind of was exploring this life. Suddenly I became a daughter-in-law, for example, a wife. So I immediately got stuck into a role. And it's not that anyone was trying to put me into a role, not like that. I myself had no clue where to go. So this role was now there in front of me, and I had started to become caged in that. So all my explorations of life kind of ceased for a moment, because a daughter-in-law is supposed to do little, here and there, but not all that. A daughter-in-law does not do all that. So I had to kind of, preserve myself in my boundary. And that I didn't even realize, and that started to weigh upon me. I did not realize it then. I just realized that my emotional state was a bit not joyous, which was before, when I was exploring freely. So not to say that any state is better, or one has to go through all phases. So when I was struggling through this phase of being stuck into a role and being pregnant with my second child, then a bleeding started to appear in my urine, which will come and it will go away also. So it was a painless bleeding, and it will come, and then after 3-4 urines it will kind of shoo off. I'll not have to do anything about it. I thought it's maybe a urinary tract infection. I asked my gynecologist, and she said कि ऐसी तो बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं pregnancy में, it's okay. So I got my test done, UTI वगैरह, nothing was there. And then it went off. So after 3-4 days, the bleeding was not there. So I relaxed again. Then after 1 month, it came again. Then it came again. And whenever I would search on Google, it will obviously show me bladder cancer. And I would not believe it, because how can I have cancer? It happens only to other people. I cannot have cancer. So I kind of was in denial for a long time. I did not get any tests done. So this is all in my pregnancy, like latter half of my pregnancy. So once I delivered my second child, Anand, then this frequency, after 4-5 months of delivery, the frequency became a bit more frequent, in the sense every 1 week I will have a bleeding, and then it will go off, and then other week also again thing. And it was painless. There was no pain. And then I became really concerned, because it was so frequent, I could not ignore it anymore. So I asked my doctor, he suggested to get an ultrasound done. And in the ultrasound, as expected, that there was obviously something wrong. So in the ultrasound, in the bladder, there were tumors. The bladder was full of, not full, but yeah, there was some tumors inside the bladder. And something stopped for me after diagnosis. So usually क्या होता है कि हम अपनी calculations में जीते रहते हैं. Some calculations are going on, some future, past worries, all those worries and anxieties and all those little shikayats from people, little complaints that we have from people. All the time we have it. किसी ने कुछ कह दिया, किसी ने कुछ कह दिया. So all that just kind of got erased from the background. I was just kind of face to face with this challenge, which was there in front of me, which was cancer. And I remember this state of being completely, if I can say, silent and still, because I did not have any choice in that matter. And then because I was in touch with alternative life philosophies and reading a lot, so I began to contact people who are in this domain, emotional healing of diseases, and how we create our own diseases. So that was my first, if I can say, not the very first, but the second reaction, that, okay, now there it is in front of me. I know that it has something to tell. and I'm not fine. I know that. It's not that, you know, someone would recognize me and say, "Yeah, tu to depressed lag rahi hai." Not like that, you know. One does not even recognize. So it's just very much in the below the surface. And then I connected with Dr. Newton Kondawati, who is a past life regression expert. He suggested me his own student who was in Gurgaon, Hitesh ji. And then I decided that I would take a few sessions with him, with Hitesh ji, to understand what this disease is here to tell me. Why is this here? What have I done? Have I done some bad karma? Because I had this karma philosophy in me also, you know, कि जो बुरे कर्म करते हैं उनको ही diseases होते हैं. So that also got erased after some time. So I did back to back 8 sessions with Hitesh ji, in the sense guided meditation sessions, where I would just lie down and he would take me into a guided meditation. Basically, these meditations were to get in touch with the deeper me, who has the wisdom, who knows, who has the clarity. Because as long as we live in the domain of the mind and the ordinary consciousness, we don't have clarity, we have confusion, we have doubts. And all the answers lie in the inner space. So once, with the help of someone or by our own selves, if we are able to touch that inner space, then the answers or clarity begins to kind of appear. So now coming back to the question which Taru shared in the beginning, gift of cancer, you know. So from the very beginning, I knew that my life will change now, and for good. So there was this streak of faith which was there, that this has come to show me something, this has come to unveil something in front of me. And from the time cancer has happened, I would say I have started living life more deeply, and that depth is going on and on. There is no end to that depth. And I'm more, if I can say, better and better aware of my own movements. I'm sure I miss many movements, but still better and better. So it's not a life which is waiting for a future to come, or cribbing about the past and ruining the present. So which was in the case earlier. So I became available to the present moment more and more, and also to a higher aim in life, because earlier I was lacking this aim in life. You know, what to do, what to do with my life. I have this life, and this life just cannot be just going to the malls and buying good stuff and eating good food. It cannot be that. There must be something more to it. So that higher purpose came only after cancer. And again, it is a deepening and deepening journey. You know, it's not that I am done after cancer, not at all. It's just I have begun after cancer, if I can say. And that's why the gift of cancer, because each disease, each difficulty, each challenge in life comes to unveil something for us. If one is ready to take that truth in front of oneself, then life has the potential to become even more beautiful. So that is going where, you know, you're asking why gift of cancer.
So you mean to say that actually it's a planned thing, like, you know, these incidents, these diseases, the accidents, and they are actually given to us so that they can take us somewhere. They can,
Not like that,
yeah.
not like that, but you know, so the all the saints have said that there is something to be found in this life, right? No matter how strongly we may negate that as normal human beings, but it has been said and repeated again and again in scriptures, in saints, mystics language, that there is some treasure to be found. And the way that we live is that we totally negate that treasure. We don't even trust that there must be some treasure that is to be found out. So then, because the universe is for me, the universe is my, if I can say, my mother. She would do the best for me. And what is the best for me? To go in search of that treasure. So it's not that the diseases are given to me, not like that. All the situations, including diseases and everything else, are created, even the persons in our life are my own creations, so that I may not forget and I may go and on in search of that treasure. I may not forget. And I think that's why these blows on, hard blows, for example, when cancer came, it was a blow to my ego. I thought I had known things. I knew what alternative education is. I knew the way of life, all these bigger images that we have in mind about ourselves. So that blow actually, puts you down on your knees. Hey, you don't know anything. You maybe can never know the mysteries of the universe. All that you can do is to bow down and, come down on your knees and surrender, and maybe open yourself, if I can say, open oneself to a higher grace, higher working. So all the situations, including diseases, they are just a reminder. It's like, imagine that there is a signal, or maybe say my house is burning. Okay, there is fire in my house, and my house is burning, and I'm sleeping. Now this fellow who is in the other house, he hears, or some noise or some smoke or whatever, and he comes to save me, and he breaks my door. Now two things can happen. One thing is that I shout on him, hey, why are you breaking my door, bloody all that thing. And the other thing is that I recognize why he has broken my door. So the broken door is the disease or the difficulty. And one thing is that I can put myself in a victim zone, and that person in a blame zone, and keep on, in that domain, तूने क्यों किया और मेरे साथ क्यों किया, whatever. That can also happen. The other thing is, okay, he has broken my door. Maybe he has some signal to give me. And there I see that my house is on fire. And what I want to say here is that I am not in touch with my treasure, which is my job in this life. I have forgotten my job. Kabir says that you have forgotten what you came here to do. You are absorbed in, making a name for you in the business, and in making more money, making families, 10 children, whatever. But you have forgotten the main task. So if somebody bangs in, breaks my door, I should be grateful to him कि भैया याद दिला दिया तूने. And that is why, again, being grateful for all these blows in the guise of difficulties and challenges and diseases.
Monica, you beautifully put it that you should be grateful, or one should be grateful. But like myself, coming from a medical profession as well, it's like whenever something bad happens, a disease, an accident, mostly for years and years, sometimes for lifetimes, we get stuck in, the victim mode. That, मेरे साथ हुआ, मैंने तो ये सोचा था, मतलब ये तो नहीं होना था, I had planned my life like this. And now this has happened. What do I do with this? And depression, bitterness, sadness, revenge, hating God, kind of people just, lose themselves in the disbelief of the enormity of what has happened. So for such people, what would, how would you recommend, like how, I mean, you did share that, how did you get out of it? But for them, if you can say, how can one start getting out?
Yes. So one thing, I think it's a beautiful and very important question. So one thing which I realized for myself, it was actually a discovery for myself. One day I was standing in my balcony, and somebody said something to me after cancer. And immediately I realized, oh my God, I have this choice in me. I can choose whether I want to focus on that person or not. And I did not know that before. So it was actually a discovery for me in that moment, standing in my balcony, that there is something called free will. So through free will, I can choose whether in this moment I want to put myself in the blame game situation, the victim situation, or I want to choose a higher purpose. I want to choose my peace. I want to get more in touch with myself, rather than putting myself in the domain of victim and blame game. So I think for me, that was the beginning of a new life, which is obviously, again, I will keep on reiterating, it is a going on process. many a times, even now, I forget to use my free will because the hold of tendencies are so strong. You know, you have a tendency to shout at somebody if somebody else is shouting at you, right? So this is how we do. We think that there is no choice. अरे वो मेरे ऊपर चिल्ला रहा था, ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि मैं नहीं चिल्लाऊं? You know, like that. But here, it's only a matter of priority. If I matter my inner calm and peace and stillness more, I would be able to stop myself to let go by anger. And amazingly enough, I have recognized, I'm sure you, whatever, you know, all of you who are here, whenever we choose peace over anger, whenever we choose a higher over lower, we transform the situation itself. So the other person who is involved in the situation, for him also the situation changes. You have not done anything. You have just connected with your own inner truth. I am in touch with my inner truth and I don't want to compromise with my peace. I have said what I had to say and that is the best I can do. I don't want to shout. It's my choice. And in that, if I am connected with my own inner truth, somehow all of us, the inner truth is like, you know, that image you remember, Taru, the volcanic image, you know, where from the surface below we are all connected. So it's like, you know, imagine there are two mountains together and there is like flowing lava in the kind of the center of those mountains. And if you go really down below those mountains, the lava connects. Okay, so there is like a plain, like river of lava, which is connecting those seeming two different mountains. This is how our inner truth is. Our inner truths are, although different from the surface, but they're all connected. So if I do something in connection with my inner truth, in my deep calling, but what my inner being wants to, you know, say to me, tell to me, then I, without even giving any importance to any person, I do a good thing for him because that connects him to his own inner truth. One can never go wrong or hurt anyone, even if it may appear like a slap, if one is coming out of inner truth. So I think that is one immunity, a perfect immunity, that if we are in touch with our own divine guidance within, which is to be found in the depths of our being, and there, from there, the action arises, it cannot be harmful to anyone on this earth.
Monica, these terms that you are using, you know, inner truth, divine guidance, like, you know, these seem alien to a normal ear, right? Like, how do I know? In the sense, I just see what's available in front of me, right? Like you said कि बच्चों को भी बोला जाता है कि अगर कोई तुझे मारे, you know, वापस खींच के मार, you know, you don't start it, but you know, ईंट का जवाब ईंट का, पत्थर का, ये कभी बताया ही नहीं जाता. You know, you have a chance to walk away. You have a chance to, you have an option to still. तो एक गांधी जी ने बोला कि you know अहिंसा, तो उनको you know अभी तक भी से कि वो you know he was the father. It was something that probably special people can do, right? So how does a common person living a regular normal life know what is inner truth, what is their inner truth? And we do have a couple of questions, so after this I'll be taking those.
So I think when I said free will, I think that's it. So I just for elaborating on it, I used words like inner truth or divine guidance. But if I keep on sticking to free will, what is free will? I've given you an example, you know, that I have a choice each moment. For example, let's take an example of a disease. So I am now diagnosed with a disease and I recognize that I've heard about this, that I have free will. So what do I do in this moment? In what space I want to be? There are two possibilities, very common, simple possibilities. One is that I keep on crying and, victimizing about myself, that why did this happen to me? Or I take it with the attitude, which is actually also suggested by many saints and mystics and masters, which is the right attitude. What is the right attitude? That I take everything in life as what is it here to tell me? How can I go through it? What will it reveal to me? What more possibilities it is here to open in front of me? So taking it more as an adventure, in a spirit of an adventure. So this, two possibilities. One is the lower consciousness, blame game, where we don't feel easy about it. We feel uneasy. The energy gets drained. So that is the signal, the choice I'm making. It's a lower choice. The other choice is that I take it in a spirit of adventure. It's hard. I know it's hard, but one has to really kind of pick oneself up and go on, and let's see. One may cry, that's okay. One may cry. I have cried many a times, but then again picking your pieces together and going on what it has to offer. So more like a science, if I can say, more like an experiment. Like, let's see what it has to offer. So again, two options at each moment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll start with the first question. This was from Ruchika Kaushik, and she's asking that our aim is to touch our inner self or the divine.
Yeah. So Ruchika, inner self and the divine, one and the same thing only. No difference. No difference at all. When I say inner self, we all have touched that inner self. As a child, when we are not clouded by too many thoughts, there was maybe, there are moments in our lives where we have felt anything deeply. Maybe a sunset deeply, maybe sitting with a friend, and something deep happened in that moment. And there is a voice which I call a very feeble voice, inner voice. It has no words. It has only a sensation that I know this is the right way to go for me. But also it's a very plastic voice. It's a very flexible voice. It does not have any rigidity about it. It's not like the ego's voice, I know. No, not like that. It says, I know. I don't have to explain it to anyone. I know this is the way to go in this moment. This feels right. This feels right. So if we take more pauses in life and take a moment, how do I feel about it? What is the feeling? I'm going to meet this friend. How do I feel about it? Then we get in touch with that inner voice, the inner truth, the divine. It's the same thing. The divine is to be actually found. So the more and more we go deeper in the ocean that is ourselves, one day we kind of complete, unite with the divine. But the process is the baby steps. The baby steps are taking more pauses in each moment, using our free will to do what feels right.
Feels right, and I think feels light, right?
Light,
Yeah.
exactly. Because right is light, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is from Ms. Ritu Kalra, and she's asking, why did divine hide the treasure, and now why does he wants us to find it?
Beautiful. So it's like, imagine there is a kid and a parent at home and they have nothing to do. They are bored. So what they do is they play hide and seek, right? So the parent decides that, you hide somewhere and I will find you. So actually one can really go in detail. There is a lot of stuff available on the theories of creation. Why this adventure? So it is said that the Brahman, which was the only one which was existing, he was lying in his sleep all by himself, nothing else. There is no one other than him. And one day, out of joy, out of fun, hide and seek we play out of fun. So out of fun he decides to manifest himself as other, कि अब मैं दूसरा बन जाता हूं. So देखा जाए तो वो बच्चा जो है वो पेरेंट ही है, बट वो रूप अलग अलग हो गए हैं. जैसे अब मैं बोलूं क्ले से मटका बन गया. एक्चुअली में देयर इज नो डिफरेंस बिटवीन क्ले एंड मटका, but the forms are different. So this is how the manifestation kind of happened in a delight of existence, because I am so, I am full of bliss and I want to experience what all are my possibilities. So it is said, and you are most welcome to delve more deeply into it. It is said that it was in the spirit of adventure, in the spirit of hiding something first and then finding it out, because that's joy. See, when do I feel really bad about it? When I'm not taking it in the spirit of a play. ये मेरे लिए खेल नहीं है. When we take ourselves too seriously, then we become heavy. And if I take it in the spirit of adventure, and why do I actually do that? I'm actually wondering while I'm talking. For example, I give you a map and I ask you to go for an adventure. And there are a big troop of us who is going into an adventure into a forest. One person, for him, something else is more important and which is waiting at home. He thinks that his job is more important and this adventure is bullshit. I don't want to be here. When will it get over? When will it get over? So for him, actually, he is not here. He wants to be there. For him, that is the truth. For him, spirit of adventure is not the truth. For him, the job, the family, the keeping of a secured structure, all the celebrations around that structure, that has become his truth. So when he is there in the forest, that person, he is missing that. He thinks that that is the truth. This is not the truth. I don't need this in this life. So what is he doing? He is wanting the adventure to get completed very soon. And he says that why this river has happened in front of me, I don't want this river. I don't want to cross it. While the other person, he's also having a life somewhere else. But now he's here. And then he says, let's go on this adventure. And for him, nothing is waiting. He has this life, he has children, but as if he has forgotten all that. This is also important. Now that person who is fully there, the person for whom each moment is precious in itself, that person will not ask why this adventure. That person is ready to spend as much as time possible in this adventure because for him that is joy. So we have to see here, if I'm not enjoying this adventure, it means there must be something which I think is the truth and this is not the truth. So if I can catch that dishonesty, if I can use that word, that insincerity, then all my energy as if from the past and future gets collected in the present. And then one gets more commonsensical, okay, this is the thing in front and let's see how to take it. Yeah.
Monica, basically, the lives that we live, the adventure to dikta hi nahi hai, it's like because from the very beginning we have been told, since, even with kids, when we are kids and we also tell kids, this is the focus, you have to study, you have to do this and then college and then marriage and then job. मतलब कभी इस adventure के बारे में somehow nobody ever tells us, right? So, and then one suddenly hears this, off and on these talks, but one cannot relate to them because they seem very distant. Yet, we are suffering, we are in pain, and yet we feel that this is my life, right? Just this is it. So, although I've heard the answer that you have given and it was pretty elaborate, but how did you come to know that even this adventure is there and it's real and it exists and you want to follow it?
Yeah. I think for that, we all have to go through our own journeys. We have to do those mistakes, so-called seeming mistakes that we have done. We have to go through those heartbreaks, but all in faith. A faith that there is something more to it, which at the moment I don't know, but I will know. So if that faith is there, streak of faith, then everything becomes an unfolding. So I am waiting to see, okay, now this is happening and let's see what it has to reveal to me. Now it also needs an ego, which is now ready to be very supple and elastic. So it is ready to break its boundaries. It is ready to say, okay, maybe I am proven wrong, but I am excited to look forward to it. Usually what happens is that we are stuck in very rigid egos, and all these blows in life, all these difficult challenges in life keep on telling us, hey guy, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing, so come down on your knee. And I call myself really, a dog's tail who has to be really straightened, and to be straightened one has to put a feet on it. The foot has to be put on it, and we are all actually like dog's tail. Sri Aurobindo also has used this word for human beings, because we are so teda. The ego is so rigid that for it to be softened, one needs those blows. हमारी बाउंड्रीज का टूटना बहुत जरूरी है, और मुझे लगता है there is a खूबसूरती in that, there is a beauty in that, and that is how I have seen it unfolding in my life. Whenever my ego has been shattered, I have been opened to a new beauty in life. So if we want more beauty in life, we have to allow ourselves to be broken again and again. And this spirit of adventure that we were asking, it came very slowly to me, more so when I got in touch with Sri Aurobindo and Mother, because there many answers I found to this, the problem, existential problem, if I can say, which all of us go through. And there I kind of, it's like, it makes sense that I plunged myself into it. And now, owing to the joy of discovery, ab jaise we talk about hidden treasure within, we talk about hidden divine presence within. If I just give you right away the treasure, ye le tera treasure hai, use kar, I would not value it much. But if I have to dig hard, and there I don't find, or dig here I don't find, or maybe where, I get tired in between, but then I look forward every morning, let's dig again. So that's adventure. And more mehnat, more joy of finding it.
That reminds me a quote that you had written, that the more I break, the more I see that I had been the wall around me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was very beautiful. Okay, so moving on to the next question. It's from Jyoti. So she's asking that as a caregiver to a cancer patient, how do you motivate them to be strong?
Yeah. So, who is this question from?
Jyoti.
Jyoti. So, Jyoti ji, if I personally, as a caregiver, am more peaceful within my being, more calm within my being, more in touch with deeply with myself, I think then I can be the best of a servant for a person who is in need. And if I'm not in touch with my own deeper truth, if there is no peace to be found within my being, I wonder what we do usually being a caregiver. Because one has to really go through a lot of emotional upheaval, a lot of physical upheaval, go through all that in faith. It's not easy. And when the difficulty is big, one has to dig even deeper within oneself to find that strong solidity of peace and calm within. So for me, what has helped me, and what I would suggest to you also, or whoever wants to listen to this, the more still and immobile we are within ourselves. I think that is the best service one can do to the whole humanity, not even only to the patient you are giving the care to. So first, get in touch with your own inner peace. Bring peace in the body. Mother, Sri Aurobindo and Mother have put a lot of emphasis on bringing calm and stillness in the peace. There is no end to the stupidity of human life. There is no end to diseases. There is no end to my emotional turmoil, mental turmoil. No. So if I keep on logically reasoning it out, why this disease, whatever, all the domain of the mind and feelings, the solution is not there. One has to call peace in the body. It's like it's a solid substance. I'm talking of a substance which is peace. It's not something, a word that I'm talking of. Hey, you bring peace and you sit there and chant a mantra and nothing happens. No, not like that. How do you feel in the body right now if there is a strong solidity like a mountain, not moving at all, staying with that stillness within? That stillness is in direct connection with the inner truth, and that has resolutions for all our miseries. And slowly what happens, that stillness spills itself out. I often use this example. Yeah, one can use this word, sthit pragya. Yeah. So often use this example that once Sri Aurobindo and Mother were there, and Mother was in her own room, and there was this strong storm in Pondicherry coming. And Mother went to Sri Aurobindo's room to check if everything is all right. The windows are closed and all. And to Mother's amazement, when she entered the room was pouring out stillness. The windows were open, but the calm from within Sri Aurobindo's being was spilling out in the whole room. And we all have that capacity. I only have to give it attention and time. We also, we give attention and time to many, many things. So whatever I give attention to, that will become my life. If I now give attention to my ego, my unfulfilled desires, that will become my life. But if I now choose owing to the free will, enough of that stupidity I have done for 40 years. Got a taste of it, good. Now I want to taste something else. So the moment I give it priority, then I am able to do that. More and more, more and more. So if possible, bring more stillness in the body. Bring more peace and calm in the body, no matter what the mind is saying, no matter what the feelings are saying. Don't go by them. Whatever the right action is needed will be done through you. That is what higher guidance is. And that does not require any active thinking. No logic is required. 2 + 2 = 4 is not required there. So if a few of us want to be in touch with higher guidance, we want to help people, I think this is the biggest help we can give people. Be a flower, be a mountain. So that whenever I go to the mountain, I experience joy and peace. I can be the mountain. I can be the mountain for my own area, my own vicinity. So that one more drop of trouble less in this world. And this is the best help one can do even as a caregiver. Yeah.
Monica, you mentioned that, one should call stillness or peace. One should become stillness and peace. Could you practically elaborate that? How do you give, if you could give an example, that how do you become that?
Yeah. So what I do is, earlier I used to imagine, we imagine a lot, visualize a lot, For example, sitting here Today I can imagine उस बंदे से कल मिलना है, क्या क्या होगा, you know, all that thing we visualize, you know. उस बंदे की शर्ट की बिल्कुल कलर वलर पसंद नहीं आता है, फिर भी बात करनी पड़ेगी, you know, all that. So we imagine, we visualize. We just have to use that very visualization in invoking peace. So mother has suggested a way to invoke peace, and I use that. It's a very simple way, nothing elaborate about it. So for example, I'm here, you know, in front of you, I'm talking. And at the same time, I am parallelly aware of the movements within my being. As if there are two eyes, one eye is looking at the camera and one is aware of the movements within the being. So within the being, I have full control. I can exert this peace. I can put this peace. How do I feel when nothing moves within my being? Feel it in the body. How do I feel that when there is no feeling, no thought that I give attention to? I only put my attention to a deep stillness within. जब एक पत्ता भी नहीं हिलता है, तूफान से पहले, you know, होता है ना, पत्ता भी नहीं हिल रहा. That kind of stillness. Nothing is moving. And I sit with it as much as I can. So in the beginning, what will happen? My outer movements will be stopped. So if I am practicing in the beginning, I'll need to give more attention to the inner. So all my energy is in the inner. So what am I doing? I am doing when everyone is away. Okay, 10 minutes, everyone is away. I am doing invoking stillness in the body, imagining a mountain in the body, not moving. But more and more as I make it my practice, even in my actual conversations with people, challenges in life, I am able to carry this state. So I'll be moving hands, talking, words will be given out, but parallelly I am aware of some higher possibility within. Parallelly, I am putting my attention on stillness within. So one develops a parallel consciousness. So if I don't know how, actually it's more, you know, if you ask me, you know, tell me about swimming. And I say, you know, okay, do like this and do like this. One cannot do that. So one has to get into the waters and try it for oneself. Yeah.
No, you explained it really well.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question is again from Ruchika. It's like a follow-up question, and I think she has asked two questions, so I'll couple both of them. So she's saying, firstly, we have to take pauses, whatever we do in our life. This is one question. And then she's asking, can you explain to me if the heart or inner divine are the same? Because I have found of reading positive book. I am fond of reading positive books and blogs. In that blog, there was an article that we have to live our life with our intuition and mind. In heart means hamara man. So this is a question. I can repeat that if you.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I got it. So Ruchika, words में confuse नहीं होने का, बिल्कुल भी नहीं. There are many words, heart, divine, inner truth. I can use thousands, you know, people can use thousands. Not going there. One has to be aware, just keep it very simple. Take more pause, use your free will. Is this really what I want to do? Does this give me lightness and peace? And joy and progress? All that is connected. So when we are stagnant, when we are not progressing, there is no joy. When we are progressing, then there is joy. So ask yourself, I want to take this step or I want to take this job. Do I actually want to do that? Okay. Now, it does not matter whether you take up the job or not. It's not about that. It's about the attitude. Now, through this job, I will progress. I will see what will be revealed to me in front of me. I'm ready for all that. If I have that kind of an experimentative attitude, I can do a job or not do a job, does not matter. तो inner truth, heart, divine भूल जाओ. हमें बस ये देखना है कि कचरा कहां से आ रहा है. Do not invite kachra in your life. By free will, you know, owing to free will, you can say neti neti to the kachra. No, I don't want to talk to that friend. Whenever I talk to that friend, I feel very, very heavy. So you reject. By rejecting, what are you doing? जब झाड़ू लगाते हैं क्या करते हैं हम? कचरा हटाते हैं. अब मैं बोलूं कि सफाई कर दो, तो तुम सफाई खरीदने थोड़ी ना जाओगी कहीं बाहर से कि मार्केट से 2 रुपए की सफाई लेके. क्या करेंगे? कचरा हटाएंगे. एंड दिस इज व्हाट विजिलेंस इज. अब मेरे को अपनी जिंदगी की बड़ी चिंता है. आई वॉन्ट टू लिव अ क्लीन लाइफ, सुंदर लाइफ. तो अब मैं क्या करती हूँ? मैं ज्यादा रुकती हूँ और मैं देखती हूँ कि जो मैं मजे मजे के नाम पे कर रही हूँ, क्या वो मेरी जिंदगी में और कचरा भर रहा है? और मैं अब उसको बोल देती हूँ ना, नहीं चाहिए, बस वहीं पे रहो. अभी हार्ट डिवाइन तक नहीं पहुंचो. हार्ट डिवाइन अपने आप मिलेगा. ठीक है, मुझे बस कचरा का साथ नहीं देना है. अगर मुझे पता लग रहा है कि ये कचरा है, मुझे उसका साथ नहीं देना. और कचरा क्या होता है? हमको लगता है कचरा बाहरी होता है कि बाहरी लोग कचरा हैं. होते भी हैं. मोस्ट ऑफ द कचरा इज माय ओन थॉट्स which keep on going on and on and on, and I, you know, take maza in that. I take rasa in that. I have to say, oh, लास्ट टाइम सोचा था कि पॉज लेना है, अभी लग रहा है कि ये स्टोरी फिर से रन होने वाली है. आई डोंट वांट टू डू दैट. सो दिस इज हाउ आई एक्सरसाइज माय फ्री विल, कि अब मुझे ये स्टोरी फिर से रिपीट नहीं करानी, क्योंकि 1 घंटे बाद मैं बहुत ही बुरी हालत में होती. बस दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव टू डू.
Okay, moving on. Ritu has a follow-up question. She's asking, you mean it's a play of the divine, but why would he play such a nasty game with us?
Yeah. So the again the game, so there is no he and us, and this is the only thing which troubles us most, you know. क्योंकि अब इमेजिन करो ना कि बच्चा पेरेंट के साथ खेल रहा है और पेरेंट अभी कुछ ऐसी जगह छुप गया जो एक थोड़ी सी डिफिकल्ट जगह है छोटे बच्चे के लिए. And if he does not take it in the spirit of play, he can say that, why are you doing this to me? I don't want to play with you. You are so ganda. So it's not about nastiness. It's actually not nastiness. One will only feel that it is nastiness when I'm not able to change my attitude. आप देखिए कितनी खूबसूरत चीज है. मेरा ही एटीट्यूड है, मेरे हाथ में नहीं है. तो है क्या मेरा? I am saying this is your attitude, change it. You say I cannot change it. What do I call yourself, you know, as me? This is me. When you don't even have control and mastery over yourself. It's actually very commonsensical. अगर मेरी ही कोई चीज है तो मुझे पता होना चाहिए ना कि ये मुझे कैसे ठीक करना है, इसकी चाबी कैसे लगती है. But if I myself, I cannot even fix or change or experiment with my attitude, how can I say it is my attitude? I have no control over it. Just keeping you with that reflection, not saying much.
Okay, so the next question is from Rashmi, and she's asking, how did you manage to stay calm, positive, and strong even after so much was happening within you physically as well as emotionally?
Actually, I don't think it was too much. I think we are capable of much more. And I don't think that I was calm from the very beginning. Not at all. Not at all. So I have gone through all the ups and downs and frustration and everything. That is our unfolding. That is our journey. But I think one streak of faith, which I can see from the very beginning, which was there owing to the divine grace, if I can say, that was that something good is going to happen through all this. Something new is going to emerge through all that. I have no idea, मुझे नहीं पता ये कैसे कहाँ से आया, this streak of faith, but that was there. And that streak of faith inculcated more of a spirit of adventure कि अच्छा सर्जरी करानी है, चलो देखते हैं, And I remember my times, 2 times I went through surgeries, and both of the times I had beautiful stay in the hospital. I remember my state of being in the hospital as if it was an experiment happening on myself. And that was actually beautiful because, and also when I was in the hospital, I realized, hey, I am not the doer. Matlab, bacche ghar pe hain, I am not the mother. And these were the roles I was talking in the beginning, I was stuck in those roles. So I immediately, as if a burden got off my shoulders, that you are not responsible for everything in this universe. You are only responsible for yourself. The more you work on yourself, the more you take care of your own attitude, your own inner being, rest all is at its right place. Paramatma ko humse zyada pata hai. There is someone else, if not Paramatma, jo log nahi mante mat mano. There is some higher force which knows better than all of us. Trusting in that, going through each challenge through that spirit, and that comes only slowly. It's not an inborn spirit. Actually, it is. Now that I'm saying it, it is. Look at the children. They actually take everything in a spirit of adventure. For them, mud is an adventure. For them, coronavirus is an adventure. They are not afraid. The fear we adults are putting into them. They are fine with all the things happening. And slowly through conditioning, the adult conditioning that we give to children, we say कि ये अच्छा है, ये बुरा है. तुझे ये करना चाहिए, लेकिन ये तुझे experience नहीं करना चाहिए बिल्कुल. So we give our children more pleasure and we keep them away from pain. The more pain they're allowed to go through in life, which is a fact of life, not protecting them from pain. I think that has the capacity for them to get already reflective and contemplative from the very beginning. Because pain takes us deeper. Going through a challenge takes us deeper. So if I let my child go through all the difficult realities of life in faith that there is someone higher who knows the best for all of us, I think they also become more resilient, not fragile. So I would say that this calm is just a byproduct, the calm or whatever you're saying, it is just a byproduct of all these unfoldings that have been happening. And it is still going on. Yeah.
I think you make a very beautiful point, because somehow in our lives, from the beginning, we are told that, we should always run towards happiness and smiles, always have a smiling face, always try to make others smile, and pain, ye bura hai, like agar jaise the kid would start crying, you try to pacify them, give them sweets, ro mat. It's like as a culture, I don't know what shifted. जैसे पहले तो गुरुकुल ही भेज देते थे कि भैया जो करते हैं करो टाइप्स ना, but how we became so averse to pain is pretty, and it's very interesting, and but it seems very difficult, like you're saying that let your child do that, कि फिर as a parent ऐसे लगता है फिर मेरा काम क्या है कि अगर मुझे उसको दुख से भी नहीं बचाना है ना, मतलब somehow. But then again when you talk about faith, फिर वो एंगल आ जाता है कि that the child is through me and not from me, and एक और tree है मेरी branch नहीं है, मतलब जैसे we have read that, but it's very tough to have that sit and let your child cry. But I agree with you that it does make them stronger. So I also wanted to ask you, but I think you almost already answered that, like in India especially, the families, and everyone around us, like whenever anything happens, there's no space. जैसे मेट्रो में लोग गोदी पे आके बैठ जाते हैं, वो तो एक फिजिकल स्पेस हो गई, बट जैसे एक इमोशनल, एक normal, जैसे when something like this happens, everybody wants to be there with you, या फिर तो कोई बोल रहा होगा कि हाँ इसके ही कर्म होंगे, like either it's like kind of blaming or feeling sorry or something. There's just too much of things that happen when something such big, of this intensity happen. So did it also happen with the family around you, and how does one keep their distance to maintain their sanity?
Yeah,
What doesn't need to, sorry, yeah.
I think matlab one has to say first of all no to whatever feels like garbage. So I think I have said no 1,000 number of times to my own relatives and families, and it's not that nobody wants bad for you. Everybody wants to be good, but the thing is that you know where you want to be right now. So first of all, recognizing the power of no. Not feeling hurt कि अगर उसने मुझे reject कर दिया तो क्या होगा अगर मैंने हाँ नहीं बोला. It's okay. That's their emotional space. They have to tackle that. The other thing is that whatever external situation gets created as a result of my disease, I have to go through it. For each person, it would be different. It means each lesson is different. It's only thing that matters is my inner attitude, my inner being, the inner space. If I am in touch with that, all the external situations can be taken care of. And for each person, it would be different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you answered that really beautifully, because somehow we feel कि सबकी जिम्मेदारी हमारी ही है ना. We have to kind of we are responsible in making them feel okay.
Yeah.
अगर रोना भी आ रहा है तो रोएंगे भी कि उनको ये ना लगे कि कितना रो रहे हो, वो ना टूट जाए. So we would not allow ourselves much.
Actually,
Yeah.
मुझे लगता है वो तभी होता है कि जब हम अपने आप को बहुत फ्रेजाइल वे में रखते हैं ना, तो हम दूसरों को भी अलाउ नहीं करते स्ट्रॉन्ग बनने का. If I am working on myself and I allow myself to go through pain, then I would not be bothering if my child is going through pain. But if myself am a very fragile ego and I want to preserve that ego, then I'll be pampering my child. So this goes hand in hand.
Yeah, because मैं उसकी बचाऊं तभी वो मेरी बचाएगा. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so Dr. Nehal has a question. She's asking that, did you ever feel lonely? How to handle that loneliness that is caused due to a chronic disease?
अब मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा कि इसको मैं अगले हार्मनी सर्कल पे बुलाऊं. Nehal, the topic for next harmony circle is loneliness. So you are most welcome to join it. But let me just touch upon it very briefly, because I think it's very relevant what you asked. Yeah. So yes, I felt lonely, although there were 10,000 people around me who were ready to help, eager to help, helping actually. Because one has to go through all by oneself. As Rabindranath Tagore has said, eklo chalo. Huh? I don't have a very good Bengali. Ekla chalo. So whatever is going on within me, I have to go through it myself. And this myself is actually never alone. One has only to recognize that one is not alone. It's not that, somebody has, put you into this pool and you don't even know swimming. Not like that. The somebody who seems to have put you into this pool, he very well knows that you know swimming. You have forgotten it. And that somebody is always there to guide us, to enlighten us. So actually, I recognized through all these years that I am never alone. It's as if there always are two. This little me and somebody more. Now it's up to me whether I want to use that in my life or keep on negating it, rejecting it. It's up to me. So that's what I would like to say here.
When we look at other people who have so much inner courage, inner strength, sincerity, will, a part of us kind of tell us that, they are special. ये तो बिल्कुल अलग जिंदगियां जी रहे हैं, इनकी trajectory कुछ और है, इनके तो शब्द ही, we don't understand half of the words they use, and, the smile on their face, it's like, it's kind of, it's annoying. And इट्स लाइक जैसे एक फेरी टेल मेरे लिए रियल नहीं होती, वैसे ही एक बंदा जो हर बार टूटता हुआ नहीं दिखता, ही फील्स अ बिट एलियन टू मी. सो एंड आई टेल माई सेल्फ कि probably she could do it, he could do it because he's special and I'm ordinary. So I can't do that. Like मेरे को तो रोना ही है, मुझे तो सफर ही करना है, मेरी तो यही कर्म है और जिंदगी है. So, what would you like to say to that person?
Thank you, Taru. Beautiful question. Yeah. So, what I would like to say here is, yes, we are special, but we are not. So if we look at each other, you're walking the street and you're looking at each other walking. Each human being is the same. There is no speciality about the human being. The same emotions, jealousy, hatred, anger, love, mixture of emotions, all that. Desires, lust. This is common to human existence. Feelings, emotions, physical body that requires support. So I don't actually understand where is the difference, right? But we are also special. Each one of us has a unique combination of beauty. And why this unique combination of beauty? This is actually very beautiful because we are all coming from one divine, the one who is limitless, infinite in possibilities. So how can human existence be limited? So that's why billions and zillions of people may have been there on this earth. Some in past may be dead. No two exact persons can be there. I find this really truly marvelous. Infinite possibilities. So we are all given something which is really very beautiful in us. A kind of a unique kind of bouquet of things, all of us have it. What happens over time with a lot of dust and dirt kind of gets mixed with that. Now our task as a human being, this inner adventure that we are talking of, it is to now sort it. So this is the lower part full of dirt and dust and stickiness which weighs us down. And this is the pure divine influence, if I can use those words. Pure beauty, pure specialness and uniqueness that exists in me. This is the common part. This is jealousy, greed, ambition, or desires. Me. This is ego. So now ego has as if to, sort itself. The time of ego is over. Enough done. Ego was a ladder needed until now. Now I am looking for purity in life. So I just want to focus on this beauty in my life, which like this I cannot see. So now I have to turn these eyes within myself, look at this kachda, the chaos, and sort it out. And this beauty now, that which will purely remain, a little bit of pieces of this will always be there. And that's why we need to be vigilant. But this beauty will begin to shine more and more and more. This is my true individuality. This is my true specialness, uniqueness, which none can take away from us. No one can take away from me. Even if I am put into a jail, even if I am hiding in a forest, this uniqueness remains with me. This uniqueness is in direct touch with the purity, with the divinity. And this is our task as human beings, to sort this mixture, to be prepared to sort this mixture out. Usually we are not even prepared, because it's hard to look at my own ugliness. भाई कचड़ा तो मैं तभी अलग करूँ ना जब मैं तैयार हूँ कचड़े को देखने के लिए. I don't feel ready. It's like obnoxious, I don't feel ready for it. So when I feel ready for it, then I undertake this challenge that, okay, enough life lived in that mixture. Now let me look at the contents, sort it out. So that the ego now goes more and more below the surface, as if it does not exist. And this instrument, the Bansuri of Krishna, through this this Bansuri of Krishna, through this some beauty can happen. Now this Bansuri of Krishna has nothing to do for its own self. It's not working कि मैं अपने लिए बजा लूं बड़ी खुश हो जाऊंगी. ये तो इसलिए तैयार खड़ी है, भैया कृष्णा जी आपको यूज करना है तो कर लो, नहीं तो धोती में रख लो. So this is the adventure that we all actually must do whenever we are ready. So, and there is, again, addressing your question, there is nothing special or not so special. We are all special, yet we are very ordinary.
So what I heard was that basically what makes some people different is that they have the courage to basically see things for what they are. Like there's an honesty about the happenings, and it's just not कि हाँ preconceived notions, assumptions और conditioning में जिंदगी बहती नहीं जा रही. You pause and you see कि okay, although no matter what anybody else is saying or I have assumed or believed to be true, is it true for me? Do I want to be this? Do I want to go there?
Yeah.
पहले आपने बताया कि there are some things that pull us down, there are some things that pull us up. So then we just choose free will and just aim towards what's taking us up every moment.
Bilkul.
So then everybody can come on your side if we just do that. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And there's another question from Ritu, and she's asking that did the teachings of Sri Aurobindo and the mother help you during that period?
During the initial phase, I was not aware of Sri Aurobindo and mother at all. But I was in touch with some other, whatever I was reading, going through, how consciousness heals and how being in touch with my own movements is important. How being in touch with my own breath, taking pauses is important. So in the beginning, I was not in touch with Sri Aurobindo and mother. Sri Aurobindo and mother came into my life in 2016, 17, somewhere there. And then kind of, I could actually, in the beginning, I could not understand it much, I have to say. But the words of the mother were very simple to understand. So Sri Aurobindo's words, I was not able to understand that in the beginning. And mother's words were very easier. So they kind of pulled me towards themselves. And then I went through another period of intense darkness. And that period further intensified my connection with the words of Sri Aurobindo and mother. So this peace, inner stillness, for example, talking about our own demons and all that, it became more real for me. So the intense painful period, the period of darkness actually brought me more, if I can say, beauty in life.
There's another question from Ruchika, and she's saying that if a child is crying in front of me, then is there no need to pamper? He or she will handle by oneself? Question mark.
Good one. So there is no formula, Ruchika. Ruchika है ना?
Ah,
Ruchika, there is no formula. ऐसा नहीं है कि इनर ट्रूथ कह रही है तो युद्ध होगा ही होगा और इनर ट्रूथ कह रही है तो युद्ध नहीं होगा नहीं होगा, ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. यू नो, जब हथियार उठाने की जरूरत है तब हथियार उठाए, और जब हथियार डालने की जरूरत है तो हथियार डाले जाएंगे. सो व्हेन आई नीड टू पैम्पर, maybe in that moment that is important, that's the right thing to do. In other moment the child has to, you know, maybe it's important for him to go through it. So there is no one formula that letting the child cry is the way. No ready made answers at all, not at all. One knows in that very moment, if I am connected with myself, I would know what is the right thing to do in that moment. Yeah.
okay, so the next question is from TAR. I don't know what the name is, and I'm not sure I understand the question very well, but I just read it out. It says, ego breaks and connected to inner peace whenever in pain physically and mentally. But if everything is going right, no pain, why does mind builds with more desires and trying to enter into a rat race and trying to prove oneself to the society even after knowing what truth is?
Okay. So, okay. Yeah. Okay. So it means to say that it feels that I know what is important for me, yet I am not able to follow that. ऐसा ही लग रहा है क्वेश्चन का जो एसेंस है वो निकल के आ रहा है कि even then I enter into the rat race, and although I know what the truth is, you don't know what the truth is. So for this I use this example. Imagine that you are holding a rope. There is darkness in the room. You think the rope is helping you and you keep on holding it. Immediately light comes in the room. Somebody switches on the light and you see that it is snake. Would you still keep on holding it? You can't. So if I know that running after my desires is killing my life, if I really know that, no one can stop me from following my inner truth or being in touch with what is important for me. If I am saying in this moment of my life that I know what is important, but I still am not able to follow what is important, it means you don't know what is important for you. So one has to actually become very honest with oneself that मेरे को ये idea है कि मुझे पता है, मुझे पता भी नहीं है. Because if I really know that the desires I am holding in my hand are like snake, they are poisoning me, I will not be holding it. It means somewhere in the mind there is this still a hope there कि यहाँ से मिलेगा. ये सांप नहीं है, ये रस्सी ही है. यहाँ से मिलेगा. 1 साल नहीं तो 2 साल में मिलेगा, मिलेगा जरूर. कहीं ना कहीं ये डिसऑनेस्टी जरूर होगी.
Okay, we are almost, it's 4:30, but there's another question from Ritu. She's saying, if there is extreme physical pain, can that also be managed better by being connected with our inner self? For example, someone is growing old and weak. How can they keep that physical weakness aside and enjoy their life?
Beautiful question, Ritu. Thank you. Yes, actually pain is actually a physical pain, especially is a portal to a deeper touch of the being. It's a portal, it's like a tunnel which takes you, because when we are in pain, what happens, you know? For example, usually what may happen, मेरा आधा दिमाग इधर है, आधा मैं उधर सोच रही हूँ ऑफिस में क्या करना है, आधा मुझे वो कल शादी अटेंड करनी है, आधा वो दुकान से सामान लाना है, you know, my consciousness is scattered everywhere. आधा वो मेरे को कल क्या कह गया, अभी तक मैं उसी के बारे में सोच रही हूँ. So everything is like, you know, my battery is scattered. When deep and intense physical pain is there, I cannot be scattered. All my energy goes there. Oh baap re, kitna dukh raha hai. All my energy goes there. Now I can actually use this energy. In that very moment when I am deeply in touch with that pain, because that connects me to my body, my cells, which I was usually not connected with because I was not in my thoughts or feelings. So this has given me a moment to come back to my body, as if कि घर था, घर वाला नहीं था, abandon पड़ा है घर, और फिर एकदम से हम तब वापस आते हैं जब डिजीज आ चुका होता है. खेत है, रखवाला गायब है, और कब आ रहे हैं वापस खेत पे? जब उजड़ गया. तो उजड़ना एक्चुअली में शुभ हुआ. उजड़ने से तुम्हारी जमीन तो बची कम से कम, फिर से खेती कर लेंगे. तो अभी जैसे पेन ने बुलाया मुझे अपनी बॉडी में, मुझे क्या करना है? अब मुझे अपनी बॉडी के अंदर वो पीस लानी ही लानी है. सब कर सकते हैं, चाहे फिजिकली वीक हो चाहे नहीं हो. दिमाग तो है, इमेजिन ही तो करना है. मैं कौन सा हथियार उठाने के लिए कह रही हूँ कि 10,000 किलोस का वो उठा लो डंबल और जरा दिखाओ कितनी मसल है. वी डोंट हैव टू डू दैट. Now that you are anyway in the body owing to the pain, धक्के दे के भेजा गया है तुम्हें पेन के थ्रू बॉडी में. use it, call peace, become more in touch with the cells of the body. The cells have divine consciousness too. The first thing that came in this existence, the live thing, was unicellular organisms, single celled organism, only one cell, algae, protozoa. Life began from that. Divine is present in each and every cell. The courage, strength is present in each and every cell that just has to be awakened. तो अब पहले मैं अगर उसको गाली देती थी अपने खाली समय में बैठ के, तो अब दर्द हो रहा है तो मैं गाली नहीं दूंगी, मैं दर्द का हिसाब करूंगी. मैं गाली की जगह पीस बुलाऊंगी. चेंज करना है अपने आप को, बहुत मुश्किल नहीं है. क्योंकि अगर मैं अपने आप को अपने आप मानती हूँ तो मैं फिर अपने आप को चेंज भी तो कर सकती हूँ. नहीं तो फिर मेरा अपना हुआ क्या जब मैं कुछ कर ही नहीं सकती इसके बारे में. तो ऐसा लगता है किसी और के मकान में बैठे हो, टच भी नहीं कर सकते कुछ. इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. वी कैन हैव mastery over our movements, and we must have slowly, in as much as capacity possible. So Taru, would you also just request everyone to those of us who want to be in touch, I can share from Taru's behalf before I forget, just share your WhatsApp numbers with us. Those of us who are not with us at the moment, जो जिनके numbers हमारे पास हैं, that's okay. Those of us who want to be in loop with whatever we do, from livinglight.in, whatever we do under the umbrella of Living Light, give your numbers to us in the chat window, your name and numbers if you are interested. Yeah.
Okay, so should we take a last question from Birenji? Yeah, okay, so he's asking how useful are practices such as NLP in uncovering potential issues and identifying what we are really in this world for.
How useful? I think it would depend on the need of the hour. So if I need a past life regression in my life, go through it. If I need a meditation circle in my life, go through it. It's all about exploring and following the inner call. If it takes me to places, go to places. If it takes me to NLP, go through NLP. So each and every thing in this life has a pinch of truth. Now take the essence, but don't cling to that. Take the essence, use it for your progress. So I'm sure if you feel called to NLP, use it.
So I think it's 4:30, although I would have really wanted to ask you more things, but we should stop and maybe we can do another session because I'm sure people would have more questions too. So thank you everybody for joining us today, and thank you Monica for whatever it is that you did. But it
Thank
was
you.
beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining, and yeah, God bless you all. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for sharing, Monica.
Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you, Taru.
Thank you. Yes, Nehal, yeah. So, Taru, maybe you can put off the recording now.
Okay.